This is Sarah Daub on my final on cohabitation, and I've decided to interview two of my best friends who cohabitated before marriage and broke all statistics that have been studied. So why don't you guys just start off by telling me like how you met and why you started to cohabitate?
I'm John Miles. We met. Should I say where we met?
Yeah.
In a bar.
We met in a bar. A friend of ours set us up, and we dated for a month, and we started living together because of our situation, finances, and we just wanted to be together all the time.
So finances is always a big one for people to cohabitate. Did you, at this point, were you have into your religion at all?
No. I didn't even go to church. I couldn't even tell you the last time I was at a church before then.
For women, Dawn, for them it shows in the statistics that it's a step towards marriage. Was that your common goal all along, or did you not know what you wanted when you first met?
No, when we first met, we said we'd never get married again because we had both been divorced.
I was going through a divorce when we first met.
So there was no intentions whatsoever.
We didn't even want a relationship at first. We just wanted to hang out.
All right, and for men, it shows that it's a test of their relationship, and it kind of avoids commitment. So far, you guys have fallen along in all the statistics to start. Now, at what point did it change?
About 4 months. She goes, "You have 5 years to marry me, or we're done."
Yep.
And where did that come from?
Because he was everything I'd ever wanted.
And now you had realized that maybe a marriage was a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
What made you find God and find the religion that you have now? And what is the religion that you guys are practicing?
We're Christians. We belong to an Assembly of God. And I had an accident at work and had to have major surgery. And I'll let John tell how we found God.
Well, I always knew of a God, and I never seeked him out, I guess you would say. And when Dawn went into her surgery, there was a lot that could have happened wrong in that surgery. And I prayed for 8 hours in a waiting room, waiting to find out what was going to happen. And I promised God that if he got her through this with no complications, that we would start going to church. And she came out of it with no complications. She was off medications within 3 weeks. She had no side effects, no addictions, no nothing, which is very uncommon. 95% of people who have that surgery are addicted or have some kind of complications after the surgery. She had nothing. So I kept my promise, and we started finding church from there.
So how long from that point till the point that you said, okay, we're going to do this? Like, are you talking days,
January.
weeks, months?
She had her surgery December
16th.
We were in church.
January 3rd.
Yeah.
And then how far after that did you guys marry, after you found the church?
A year and a half.
Yeah, it was a year. Yeah, it was a year and a half. But we did a lot in that year and a half to prepare for marriage. We got into a group of married people.
Christian
Group for marriage itself was how to treat your spouse, and how we wanted to do things right this time compared to where we did it last time. And one of the biggest building blocks when you come from a faith is God is the center of your life, and that's what we centered it around. Our marriage, we knew we wanted our marriage to be centered around God, and we've kept to that. There's a lot of issues when you do that, from coming from no faith to a faith with a blended family, but we dealt with it.
So you really broke like all the statistics, because you both had children also coming into the marriage.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do I have a pause button on here?
No.
Okay, so some of the other statistics show that there's poor relationship quality among people that cohabitate. How do you feel that your relationship is a good one? Are you okay? Where do you feel you are?
We have an amazing marriage. People tease us all the time because they ask us if we're still on our honeymoon. And we've been together for 7 years. We love each other more every day. We communicate with each other better than any relationship we've ever been in. We're best friends. We share everything, and our kids tell us, even through their teenage years and all the stuff that teenagers go through, they tell us that, that we're a good example of what a good marriage is. And people tell us all the time they wish they had a marriage like we do.
Do you attribute that to God?
Absolutely.
I do, especially because if you read in the Bible where it's God, your spouse, your children, family, friends. That's the order in which you pay attention. That's the order in which you concentrate your life. And the one thing in the Bible is it's very male dominated, and our marriage isn't like that, but we like that theory of it.
So that a woman takes care of the man, and the man holds down the household financially,
But we do it together. I mean, we really do, and it's like that big 50s era. We really love that thought process. We love that relationship. There's a role for her. There's a role for me.
That has a lot to do with it too, as we both
know our role.
we both have the same idea of what a man's role is and what a woman's role is, and in our marriage we live that, but we also help each other where the other falls short. His strongs balance out my weaks, and my strongs balance out his weeks. And
if you think about putting God in the middle of this, when we first started, I didn't know nothing about church. I didn't know how to pray. I didn't know how to worship. I didn't know how to do anything. She led us in that aspect. But then over time, I took God over.
Yeah,
I made sure we went to church every Sunday. I pushed us into doing things at the church and being involved in our church.
And not just in
my
the
family,
church,
yeah.
the praying and always praying for us.
You want to talk about statistics. I mean, typically when a child brings a family to church, their very low numbers are going to follow. Wife, I think, is like in the 50 percentage wise, the family will follow. And if a husband does it, it's like in the 80 to 90% that the family will follow them into church.
wow.
The numbers are pretty staggering where it comes from. Families going to church. If the man leads it, typically the family goes.
Now, did you guys feel when you went to church that you had to get married because people had this vision of you guys living together and having sexual relations without being married?
We didn't let other people make us feel that way. We felt convicted. We felt that and not guilty. There's a difference between conviction and guilt. We both knew that, that sexual relations are supposed to take place within a marriage, and
How do you promote that to your children and not live that out? That was a big problem for us because at the time Ashley was 17, 17 going on 18. And how do we promote that to her, saying, hey, wait until you're married to have sex when we're doing it? You know what I mean? And then we have a 13-year-old, a 7-year-old. How do we tell them not to have sex until you're married if we're not doing it ourselves? So yeah, it was very convicting to say, hey, we need to do this. We need to be, we didn't get married just so we got sex. We got married because we wanted to get married, but we wanted to.
But it didn't have anybody's impact, like looking in, judging you,
We didn't
made
care.
any.
people said stuff within our church to us about it. Do you feel guilty? Do you feel convicted? But it wasn't like they were putting it on us either. They would ask us, and people would talk to us about it, and we told everyone because we knew by the time we went to church that we knew we were going to get married. We just weren't rushing it, and part of it was we wanted to make sure. We knew from the moment we met pretty much that we would be together, even though we denied it for a long time. But we wanted to make sure that it was right because neither one of us wanted to get divorced again or put our kids through that again or deal with that situation. So.
No, with the communication that that you both have, problems with the kids, household. Is your communication good? You think because of your strong faith in God, once again, like going back to the church and having Him kind of have your back, I guess.
When we pray, when we have a problem in the house and we pray about it, it gives us time to think about it before we react. It's a better outcome. When we just react, it's a horrible outcome.
Somebody once told us that when your kids upset you, to step back and pray for them before you react to them. And even though it's really hard to do and we're not really good at it, we do try that. And
we notice a difference. There's definitely a difference when it comes to that. So when we talk about communication, our communication with each other is awesome. With our kids is not so great. But it's a blended family, and it's not.
we work on it.
Yeah, every day we work on it.
Now, another statistic is only 53% of first cohabitating unions result in marriage. And the percentage of couples marrying second or third cohabitations is even lower. What would your advice be to people, whether older or middle age, however, to teach them about cohabitation, and how would you guide them? Would you guide them more in the church?
Yes, because you build a support group in a church.
And accountability.
It's not about going through and, like, when you have a conversation with somebody, that person should not be put, like, if you're going to somebody to talk about your spouse, because everybody needs that vent every once in a while. You don't want the person you're talking to put your spouse down. They should be listening to you and figuring out how to solve the problem, not just putting your spouse down. So you don't want that negative atmosphere. So if you surround yourself with people who have that same thought process of supporting your family, and that's what the church body does. If you're in the right church body, they will support your family all together. And if you're having a problem, they will help you solve that problem.
Without solving, I think I look at it a little bit differently. Accountability.
I'm not saying they give you the answer. I'm
Right.
saying they help you get through it.
I think as a woman looking at a man, the accountability part of it, having like other Christian men to go to speak about, because when you're having issues within your marriage, everybody needs, like you said, everybody needs someone to talk to. So when you go to another Christian feels the same way, like you said, about marriage and keeping the marriage strong and healthy, as opposed to when you go outside of the church body, you tend to get a lot more negative feedback, but also like they want to hear what your spouse is doing wrong, as opposed to what you're doing wrong, and how to resolve things by checking yourself and that kind of a process. So how do you fix yourself so that you can help fix your marriage, as opposed to what is she doing wrong? It's not about the negative side of it. I don't know. I feel like that. And also, a big thing with accountability for our friends is they almost like compete to see who's doing better with their marriage and who does more for their spouse. And
it's
in a good way.
Keep things alive. Dating each other and working on your marriage every day, because we have a friend. This isn't a sprint. This is a marathon. You've got to do a little bit every day to get to the finish line, and that was one of those things I always just grasped. You have to work your marriage. It's a process. It's not like, oh, there's a problem. No, we're done. No, you work through it and you move on. And before we got married, we went and met with this group, and they taught us how to date, and they taught us what to do. And the other thing they taught us was to pray for our spouse. When you're having a problem, you pray for your spouse, and you pray for yourself, and you pray for your children, and you pray for answers and strength and all these things.
You hear the voice of God in your relationship.
You take that time and just do it. And there's also, I could give you 100 things to do to help your marriage, but I'm not an expert. But one other thing that you need to do is you need to not only rekindle your marriage every as often as you can. It's take that time and just be you and your wife. Kids are going to grow up and go away. Parents are going to go away. Everything is going to be gone except for the two of you at some point. Even friends go away. But you and your wife, or you and your husband, should never go away. So you need to make sure that that bond is the strongest. God's never going away. Those are the two bonds that are never going to change as long as you don't want them to.
And people who pray together tend to have stronger bonds.
It's such a
bonds.
It's a bond, but it's a spiritual
Connection
that you don't feel any other way other than praying with each other and feeling God just come to two of you. Like, a big thing for us is worship. Like, we'll sit down and just listen to music, just the two of us, and it makes us happy. Like, we wake up in the morning to our alarm and it's worship music. That's what we wake up to because it makes us happy. It gets us our day started. You know, there's songs that come on and it's like, this is going to be a great day. So there's a lot of things that you have to do in a marriage. It's a job. It's everything. There's so many things, but working on your marriage every single day has to happen. You can't let your kids come between you and your spouse, especially with us with a blended marriage. Most of our arguments are over our kids, but it doesn't come between our marriage.
So divorce is not an option for you.
No, it's not an option.
Well, thank you very much for the interview, and I wish you all the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you.